Communication and information, two things that are affecting German politics, both domestically and internationally right now. I'm Dr. K, a political scientist who looks at how political ideas are shared. And in the next 6 minutes, we're going to talk about the communication and leadership of Olaf Scholz, tanks, and Russian misinformation, and how these things are all coming together right now in Germany. Did you know that Germany is tied with the UK as the second largest supporter of Ukraine? But this fact has been completely overshadowed by what Germany is not giving. Germany produces Leopard 2 tanks, and countries that buy them from Germany need to agree to German export rules, including not sending them into military conflict. German history and society have shaped this policy, but also a long lingering fear of Germany creating something like a Fourth Reich motivated both the UK and France to only accept German unification in the early 90s with the stipulation that Germany's military stay within certain bounds. On January 23rd, 326 days after the first request of Ukraine's to Germany for tanks, the German government finally gave a response that they would answer soon. Well, when is soon? Even the idea of German Chancellor Scholz making a decision and then telling everyone about it is part of the problem here. Not only is Scholz seen as not being clear with his allies, his communications style is a problem. What he likes to do is make a decision behind the scenes. He looks at the different options, he weighs the pros and cons, and then he tells everyone about his final decision. And that's how he thinks leadership works. For many people, it's the lack of outward communication, the not sharing the decision-making process, and not talking about what's factored into this that is both aggravating and confusing. When you look at how a leader speaks, culture is an important consideration. To figure things out, I like to use the tools created by Dutch sociologist Geert Hofstede to understand things like this. Hofstede developed a framework for measuring cultural dimensions in a global perspective. Scholz's undersharing is in conflict with the ideas of leadership and power in democratic Germany. Germans don't feel like there's inadequacies in life that you need to accept. Leaders aren't any better than others, and because of this, Germans are less likely to accept decisions that are not explained or justified, especially when there's a divided opinion in society. German Chancellor Scholz is simply not explaining, or not explaining well, what reasons he has for not sending tanks to Ukraine. And when he does give reasons, they seem to shift. It's cooperation with the Allies, and then not going it alone, and then that they can be used as an offensive weapon, or it's because you don't want to exacerbate a conflict, or because you don't know how many tanks you have. And within the government coalition, there's no cohesion. His party, the center-left Social Democrats, are in a coalition with the Liberals and the Greens. Both of those parties are saying Germany needs to send the tanks to Ukraine and allow other countries to do the same. And within Scholz's party, the more centrist members are also critical of the Chancellor. There is a group of German voters, many of them left-wing and left-of-center, who support his slow approach. The head of the party, Lars Klingbeil, has pointed out that Scholz will not cater to photo opportunities or make videos on social media, referring to other world leaders who have visited Ukraine or even members of the German cabinet. But by not giving the German public answers, Scholz seems either too arrogant, to have hidden motives, or that he's not a strong leader. These are not good qualities, with so many examples of Russian meddling and his own party's ties to Russia. Politicians need to keep pace with how information is communicated, because information can be easily weaponized. Already on Russian TV, Scholz is being described as a friend of Russia. And away from the battlefield, Russia is having the most success in the information war over who's to blame for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. On January 24th, BBC World News reported a new analysis that suggests a notable part of Europeans believe that Russia's invasion was justified because of NATO provocation. In Helsinki, at the Center for Excellence for Hybrid Threats, a joint NATO-EU center that analyzes a wide range of threats, mostly coming from Russia, from disinformation and interference in elections to underwater sabotage and attempts to undermine Western democracy through online propaganda. Analysts there are concerned Russian disinformation is having a measurable effect. 19% of polled Germans said that they viewed Russia's invasion as justified. In Slovakia, it's 30%. And over a quarter of those polled in both Slovakia and Hungary accept the Kremlin's narrative that Russia was disarming and denazifying Ukraine. In Greece and Italy, many said they held Ukraine, EU, or the US responsible for the invasion. Communication is a part of leadership. By not acknowledging how certain communication channels and sharing processes are part of a culture and of how they process information, Scholz is leaving a void which is being filled by Russian propaganda, false narratives that feed in to confirmation bias. If summaries and explanations like this help you understand the world more, then help me by subscribing to my YouTube channel.